Bob Colby has done many things in his life. He's run a Sioux Falls antique and clock shop since 1972. He's been a teacher, an elected official with 5 terms on the Minnehaha County Commission. He's an historian and author, and he collects old photos. But not just any old photos.
And I thought, you have to make a limitation. You have to be specific, because if you collect photography, I mean, the world is really big, really big. So I said, why not just South Dakota, Dakota Territory, North Dakota, Dakota people.
But not just any people.
I look at the images and try to say, is this worthy? Is it something that's kind of neat and interesting and should be preserved? So all of my photos have been selected. They're not just a shoebox full of images that were under Grandma's bed and somebody said, here, and you bought them. I may have bought the shoebox, but then I took out a half dozen or a dozen photos and then passed the rest on to someone else.
Colby goes to a lot of flea markets and photo swaps. He says the key to knowing whether or not a photo has value, historical or otherwise, is knowing more about history than the next person.
Because their eyes are seeing it as an image. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to them. But if you know the local history or the regional history, you say, that image records something that hasn't shown up before.
Take, for example, a photo called The Drinking Party. The picture is by William Illingworth, the official photographer of Custer's expedition to the Black Hills in 1874.
When Custer and crowd went to climb Harney Peak, now Black Elk Peak, they put up a covering and they put out a table and they were drinking beer and had a good party that day. That did not get published, probably because Custer was both a teetotaler and you might say he was a little bit arrogant at times. Well, the publication of this likely took place after he died at the Little Bighorn. But in the group, one of the people in that circle was a man by the name of Colonel Grant. Ulysses S. Grant's son. He was a full colonel. Custer ran the operation. He was along just for, some would say S&G. He was just kind of to keep tabs on Custer. But he did outrank him, which is kind of interesting that took place, because he and Custer and Grant did not always get along. They were a little antagonistic. But with the son along, you have evidence that Grant had a presence in the Black Hills during the Custer tour through.
Colby has collected a lot of images of South Dakotans involved in the Spanish-American War.
Everybody got a gun.
He also has a lot of pictures of Native Americans.
The images of a Native Americans across the United States were a commodity. People would buy pictures of Native Americans because they were enamored with them. The photographer might give them a photo. Okay, he'd give them one, but he had the negative. And once you have the negative, you can make 100 images.
Old pictures can be interesting, and they can also be useful. Bob Colby has a number of pictures taken during the construction and eventual failure of a spillway at the end of a diversion canal on the north side of Sioux Falls. A number of photographers snapped pictures of the flood from a number of angles. The Sioux River still floods, so the pictures serve as a reminder that
the same thing could happen again.
Colby's entire collection is large. Only a tiny fraction will fit on his dining room table. It's also a valuable collection, well over 7 figures, Colby says. As a collector, that's where Bob Colby is a little different. This is more than a hobby. But perhaps old pictures are most valuable because they can create connections between the people who look at them.
A marginal photograph is better than a Hemingway description. Because if I am a writer and I write about, let's say, the diversion canal, you will imagine what it looked like from your experiences without ever seeing it. But if I have a photo and we both look at it, we both see the same thing, and we both can make a judgment on what was happening there because we have a common point of reference.